Dear participants, thank you for joining Latvenergo Investor webinar. We will start with company's presentation and continue with a live Q&A session. To join the discussion, please submit your questions through the Q&A window below the presentation. The session is being recorded and will be available for rewatch shortly after the call. Let me now introduce you to our host, Latvenergo Group Treasurer, Jānis Irbe. Jāni, handing it over to you.
Thank you, Eva. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. My name is Jānis Irbe, and I'm the Group Treasurer of Latvenergo. In this session, we will explore the key highlights of our financial performance during the year 2023. Okay, let's start with a quick overview of Latvenergo Group. Latvenergo is a leading producer of renewable energy in the Baltics with an environmentally friendly energy generation portfolio in which hydropower plants on River Daugava and Latvenergo combined heat and power plants play the most important role. In 2023, we generated 3.7 terawatt-hours of electricity from renewable energy sources, which represented 73% of the total electricity generated. Our business is structured in two key segments, generation and trade, and distribution. The distribution side is vital as it brings in earnings through regulated activities, guaranteeing cash flow stability. Meanwhile, generation and trade segment consists of mainly unregulated activities and focuses on maximizing the value of our generation assets and taking advantage of our broad customer base, which currently stands at more than 845,000 electricity customers, with a notable 96% being households. Lastly, it's worth also mentioning that Latvenergo is a state-owned enterprise holding a credit rating of Baa2 by Moody's and maintaining a stable outlook. Now let's turn our attention to the key market factors and events that have impacted our business performance. In 2023, both the Nord Pool system price and electricity price in Latvia saw a remarkable 58% drop compared to the previous year. This trend wasn't confined to the Baltics alone, but spread across Europe. The significant price decrease is attributed to lower natural gas prices and increased renewable energy generation. European countries actively worked to diminish Russia's influence by diversifying energy sources, reducing reliance on Russian gas, regularly refilling gas reserves, building new gas terminals, fortifying existing energy infrastructure, and expanding the use of renewable energy. When we look at electricity prices across European countries, we notice a common trend. Scandinavian countries, which have been major electricity exporters due to their extensive hydropower capabilities, consistently have the lowest prices, while Poland, Germany, and Great Britain, mainly importers of energy with higher use of coal and gas and less renewable energy, tend to have much higher electricity prices. Shifting focus to our financial performance, this slide presents an overview of our key figures for the year 2023, and we are thrilled with the outcomes. Thanks to excellent operational results in both the generation and trade as well as distribution segments, our revenue exceeded 2 billion euros for the first time. Okay, let's take a closer look at Latvenergo Group's financial results for the year 2023. These strong results were achieved through a combination of strategic initiatives, including a significant increase in retail electricity sales, higher sales price, and the introduction of new distribution tariffs by distribution network company Sadales Tīkls starting from the 1st of July 2023, alongside unusually high water inflow in the river Daugava. The group's revenue increased by 10% to 2 billion euros. Our EBITDA showed a significant 67% increase, amounting to 602 million euros. But the group profit for the year 2023 reached 350 million euros. But now let's take a closer look at each segment. In 2023, the generation and trade segment played an important role in Latvenergo Group's strong financial performance during the reporting year. This segment accounted for about 80% of the total group's revenue and EBIT. The segment financial results were boosted by a 14% increase in retail electricity sales, higher sales price, and of course a substantial increase in electricity generation at the Daugava hydropower plants. In fact, in 2023, we witnessed the second largest Daugava hydropower plant's output in the last 25 years. Looking at our electricity generation performance, it's clear that Latvenergo Group is leading the charge as a top renewable electricity producer in the Baltics. Unusually high water inflow in the Daugava River resulted in the highest generation output at the Daugava hydropower plants since 2017 and the second largest output in the last 25 years, producing a remarkable 3.7 terawatt-hours. The largest contribution was the first half of the year, where 80% of the year's total volume was generated. The generation output at the Daugava hydropower plants is highly seasonal, as it relies on the water inflow in the Daugava River, which typically decreases in the second half of the year. Additionally, there was a notable increase in the amount generated at our combined heat and power plants, reaching 1.4 terawatt-hours. The increase was influenced by lower natural gas prices. In total, we generated 5.1 terawatt-hours of electricity, marking a 34% increase and representing 1/3 of the Baltics' total generation. Now, let's shift our focus to some key highlights in our trade activities. We have substantially expanded our customer base, indicating strong customer interest in electron services in both the electricity and natural gas sectors. By the end of 2023, we had more than 845,000 electricity customers, marking a remarkable 29% increase in Lithuania and Estonia. Meanwhile, the number of our gas customers more than doubled, reaching more than 49,000. As our customer base grew, the amount of electricity sold in retail increased by 14%, totaling more than 6 terawatt-hours. This secured our Baltic retail electricity market share of 23%. Our natural gas retail sales in the Baltics reached 900 gigawatt-hours. Targeted growth continued in our new business lines that support the sustainability and climate neutrality goals defined in the group's strategy. At the end of the reporting year, the total installed solar panel capacity provided to Latvenergo Group's retail customers reached more than 70 megawatts, making us one of the leading providers of this service in the Baltics. In the reporting year, we further strengthened our leading position in the electric vehicle charging station market in Latvia. The electron drive charging network in the Baltic states has grown to 400 charging points. In 2023, over 40,000 charges were carried out, amounting to almost 900 megawatt-hours, resulting in savings of more than 500 tons of CO2 emissions. Including our partner stations, the electron drive application provides our customers access to a total of 571 charging points. Now let's take a closer look at the distribution segment. In 2023, the asset value of this segment was 1.8 billion euros, making up of 19% of our group's EBITDA. The segment provides electricity distribution services to approximately 780,000 customers in Latvia. It's worth noting that this segment is regulated and the distribution system tariffs are approved by the Public Utilities Commission. With the introduction of the new distribution tariff on 1st of July of 2023, featuring a higher proportion of fixed tariffs to better align with the grid's actual cost structures, the financial results of the distribution segment have improved. Additionally, the lower electricity loss costs influenced by reduced electricity market prices made a favorable impact. The segment's revenue increased by 14%, reaching 343 million euros. Meanwhile, The segment's EBITDA increased by 57%, reaching 112 million euros. However, there were also factors that negatively affected the results, such as 3.5% reduction in electricity distribution, influenced by decreased consumption resulting from customer energy efficiency measures and the development of microgeneration, as well as a rise in operating costs driven by inflation and increased electricity transmission service costs. In terms of microgeneration development, we commend the efforts of Sadales tīkls in facilitating the growth of microgeneration and its successful management of connecting the continuously expanding number of microgenerators and generators to the distribution grid. In 2023, the capacity of microgenerators connected to the distribution grid reached almost 70 megawatts, while the total generation capacity of connected generators increased by 137 megawatts. Now let's move on to investments. In 2023, Group's investments grew significantly, up by 60% to 195 million euros. Of these, almost 60 million euros were invested in renewable energy projects. Meanwhile, approximately half of the Group's investments were dedicated to improving the reliability of the power supply and increasing delivery quality. In 2023, almost 20% of Group's total investments was allocated towards the development of electron solar parks. Also, the reconstruction work and procurement procedures continued for the reconstruction of the last 3 hydro units of the Daugava hydropower plants. And now, shortly about funding. Our borrowings reached almost 630 million euros at the end of 2023. The funding sources are diversified among 3 main categories as local commercial banks, international financial institutions, and domestic green bonds, of which latest made up to 32% or 200 million euro from total long-term loan portfolio. The chart on the right shows a loan repayment schedule that is quite balanced over the years to reduce repayment risk. I would also like to note that in 2023 we completed our green bond program by issuing last and remaining 50 million euro domestic green bonds under our latest bond program. Also, I would like to note that all the financial covenants set in Latvenergo Group borrowing agreements were met during reporting year and liquidity reserves were sufficient to implement the planned investment program. That was all the information regarding the unaudited 12 months results, and now let's turn to the current events. The first topic is the group's sustainability strategy, which was approved in December last year. But at first, let me give you some background information. In March 2022, medium-term operational strategy of Latvenergo Group for 2022 to 2026 was approved, and company entered an ambitious and dynamic growth period. Medium-term strategy provides for several strategic objectives. Let me remind you of them. Generation objective is to make a decisive contribution to achieving the Green Deal objectives in Latvia by expanding and diversifying generation portfolio with green technologies, thus reducing Latvia's energy dependence and moving towards climate neutrality in 2050. Trade objective is to strengthen the electron position as the most valuable energy supplier in the Baltics, focusing on portfolio growth in strategic customer segments, revenue diversification, and the development of innovative, sustainable, and customer-oriented products and services in the energy and related value chain. Electromobility objective is to promote sustainable and smart mobility for all by developing electrification in the transport sector. And finally, the distribution objective is to provide sustainable and economically justified service by efficiently managing resources and improving security and quality of the electricity supply. As you can see, medium-term strategy already includes statements and goals foreseen in the European Green Deal for an ambitious transformation of the habits of all sectors in society. But since the approval of the medium-term strategy, sustainability has undergone significant change in the general understanding that economic development should be in line with the value creation for society. In response to these changes, the Latvenergo Group sustainability strategy has been developed. This is an action plan with specific and structured sustainability objectives and measurable, achievable values in the environmental, social, governance, and financial areas. The sustainability strategy is subordinate to the medium-term strategy and is in line with the vision and values of Latvenergo Group. The sustainability strategy has been developed for the period from the 1st of January this year to 31st of December of 2026, which is in line with the medium-term strategy's operational period. The sustainability strategy identifies the necessary improvements in the environmental, social, governance, and financial areas, defining sub-areas in each of them. Specific targets and achievable values are also set for each sub-area. About the level of detail, I will more explain in the next slide. As I already indicated, the sustainability strategy is not just about slogans or high-level targets. This is a very concrete action plan with specific targets and KPIs. You can see the level of detail on this slide. This is an example of one sub-area. As you can see, it contains 3 commitments, 7 KPIs, a year of implementation for each KPI, as well as information on current status, sub-activities, justification of the need, and responsible unit within the organization. As I already mentioned, sustainability strategy consists of ESG plus F areas, and it contains 17 sub-areas, 52 commitments, and 117 KPIs. On this slide, you can see examples of commitments and KPIs in each area. Let me highlight one in each area, and let's start with environment. As the first one, here you can see a commitment to reduce direct Scope 1 CO2 emissions by 47% in 2030 and achieve climate neutrality in electricity generation by 2040. In the social area, as the first one, you can see KPIs that at least 65% of employees rate the well-being aspect positively. As an example, in governance area could be to implement a system for integrating sustainability aspects into decision-making, and in finance area, at least 80% to invest in EU taxonomy compliant activities annually. Many of these criteria are derived from new sustainability reporting standards, and information on them will be also included in sustainability report of 2023. And the second topic in the current events part today is on solar park development. As we discussed, the group's medium-term strategy foresees the objective on growing the renewable energy generation portfolio by focusing on wind and solar power plants, reaching a total capacity of 600 megawatts by 2026. At this point of time, 400 megawatts are in stage of operation, construction, or under development and are planned to be completed by 2026. The goal of 2024 is to finish the year with 100 megawatts installed solar capacity, which is half of the Ķegums hydropower plant capacity. The capacities of new renewable solar and wind energy plants will significantly supplement Latvenergo hydropower plants and thermal power plant generation lines. In 2024, Latvenergo's mix of generation will be supplemented by several solar parks, not only in Latvia, but also in neighboring countries, expanding the influence of the group in the markets of neighboring countries. For instance, in February this year, a new solar energy park, Bičulistes, developed by Latvenergo's subsidiary Elektrum Lietuva, has started operations in Lithuania. With capacity of 13 megawatts, this is the largest solar energy park in Lithuania that produces electricity for remote users. And now, summary. Let's recap some of the key highlights from our presentation. First of all, thanks to unusually high inflow in the Daugava River, our Daugava hydropower plants achieved the second largest generation output in the last 25 years, producing a remarkable 3.7 terawatt-hours of energy. Secondly, with the increase in our electricity customer numbers, the amount of electricity sold in retail increased by 14%, gaining more and more recognition from Electron customers outside of Latvia as well. And thirdly, as per Latvenergo Group strategic plan for 2022 to 2026, there will be a substantial increase in investment towards expanding the group's renewable energy production capacity. Currently, there are solar and wind park projects pipeline with a total capacity of 400 megawatts. Their gradual commissioning is expected from 2024 to 2025. And finally, to summarize that what was discussed in this webinar in 2023, we have had very solid financial results with substantial EBITDA and profit increase. Thank you very much for your attention. And we are now open to questions you may have.
Thank you, Jan, for introducing us with 2023 financial results and the future outlook of Latvenergo. Let's now, as you said, proceed with the Q&A. A reminder to the participants, please use the Q&A section beneath the presentation to ask your question to the company. Questions can be submitted either anonymously or with your name. We have received a couple of them. I'll start with the first one. What ESG goals have you reached in 2023?
Thank you for the question. I will try to answer. 2023 was a very successful year for Latvenergo, and from both sides. If we look to financial results and also if we look to our progress, how to reach goals setting the strategy. For example, Jānis already mentioned about renewable energy projects, and then so far we have developed solar parks more than 30 megawatts, and additional 400 megawatts are in our pipeline. Also, a successful year was for trading business in terms of sales and also for the customer base, and then also huge expansion we experience also for EV charging network development, where in 2023 we doubled our charging network. So from this perspective, yes, 2023 was very successful. And also, as Jānis already mentioned, in the end of 2023, the group's sustainability strategy was approved, and in this strategy there is a lot of KPIs for the next years, and also those KPIs and how successful we are to reach those KPIs. So we will publish in 2004 and the next years. Thank you.
Thank you. What is the strategy for expansion in Poland?
Yes, I would say Poland, and also the strategy for the Poland is under investigation. And then we see there are several ways how to start business in Poland, but yes, there is no final decisions made so far, so it's under development. Thank you.
Do you think you will be able to continue the same growth in 2024?
This is a very good question. I would say that no 2 years are similar, so you never can have some certainty regarding financial results. But I would say that group have a good and strong financial position to continue successful operations. And of course, much depends on hydro inflow on River Daugava. So that could be an answer to this question.
Thank you. As I see no more questions, so I'll remind about the recording. It will soon be available, so please follow Latvenergo announcements to stay up to date. On behalf of Latvenergo, thank you for joining today. We're looking forward to seeing you at our future events.
Okay, thank you.